games. Whoop, let's go. Hursty Games, and this how we do. Now it's time we...
Hey there guys, welcome back to Hursty Games, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to look at some player rating predictions for some FIFA 22 squads. Now this is something I'm going to do as a little series, and what's going to happen is you guys can comment down below any teams you'd like to see me do rating predictions of, and I will pick the starting 11 or my predicted starting 11 for that team, and then I'll give my rating predictions for those 11 players. So I'm going to start with the team I know well. I'm going to go with QPR, so I'm going to give the predicted ratings of my starting 11 personally for the QPR squad for FIFA 22. So without further ado, let's get into it, and let's see my predictions. Let's go. Okay, up first we have Seni D Yang. Now, Seni D Yang is going to be, for me, the starting keeper for QPR. I know he's been linked away a little bit recently, but for me, we've got to keep hold of him, and he is a fantastic, fantastic keeper. So, Seni D Yang, for me, I'm going to upgrade it to a 69. I've got him a +6. Now, the main reason for this is he really was fantastic last season. He was a big reason into us starting to make our way up the table when we did, and made some fantastic saves. Obviously, he's been linked to some pretty big clubs, so Arsenal, Leeds, and most recently Sheffield United have all been coming in for him. Hopefully, we keep hold of him and we don't sort of feel the attraction of these other clubs coming in for him, and we say no to the money. It's been like a rumoured 6 million from Sheffield United anyway. For me, that isn't the right price regardless. But Seni D Yang, I've upgraded to that 69. Like I said, a +6 on his previous card, and I really do think that he is definitely deserving in a big, big upgrade. Okay, up next, I've gone with our left wing back in Wallace. Now, Wallace was a 68 rated card. I have upgraded him to a 70. Despite him getting older, EA, he has in fact got better. So you don't have to stick to your usual trend of downgrading people as they age. But Wallace, for me, I haven't given him a pace boost. He's actually got a little bit slower than his FIFA 20 card, just because, again, he is a little bit older, but I've increased things like his dribbling, his defending, and his physicality. He's been really influential at that left wing back position. Started the season off pretty roughly, got injured, went out, and then honestly came back and was a complete new man. Roberto Carlos living up to his name in full effect. But for me, Wallace, I think is genuinely justifying of a 70. I think EA probably will either keep him the same or potentially downgrade him, but I do genuinely think he deserves a small upgrade. Now on to the first of our three centre-backs, Joanne Barbe being our left centre-back, and for me, I've given him a +1. Barbe, for me, is a very ever-consistent player, and the best way of explaining that is he played every minute of every game last season, and Joanne Barbe does make his own mistakes. Season beforehand, he did get himself sent off a couple of times, but you don't get sent off and play every single minute of every game this season. He did considerably better. And I have to say, I think Barbe is a very underrated player. I still wouldn't be upset to see him as our captain. I do think Wallace and Johansson, however, are both very good leaders. But for me, Barbe is also a terrific player. And a +1, I think, is justified. So, again, small boosts those sort of defensive stats. Not the quickest player. I know he used to be a fullback, but I don't think he is absolutely rapid. But I do think a +1 is fair. Now on to Jordy Device. Now I've kept him at a 71, no plus, no minus. Not because he was bad or indifferent or not as good as the other players, but I think a 71 is a fair rating. I'd say him and Barbe are equally good for the different roles and sort of things that they offer as centre-backs. Obviously Device playing as a central centre-back, and I have to say I think he's very, very good in that central position. Again, very physical, so I agreed with a lot of the stats. I've given him a little bit more pace. I think he had 46 pace, which I think is a little bit harsh. I wouldn't say he's particularly speedy, but I'd say 40 something is a little bit harsh, so giving him that 50. And again, I'm a big fan of Jordy. I don't think I'd want to start a fight with him because he looks absolutely terrifying, but mate, Jordy Device, absolute beast, and I've kept him at 71. Now on to Rob Dickey, arguably one of the best centre-backs in the Championship in my opinion. I've given him a +5 from a 68 to a 73, and I think this is possibly the most deserved upgrade out of everyone in this team. He is an absolute baller, an absolute beast. First game of the season, he scored an opening goal from about 30 yards out. He's an incredible defender, great at the defensive capabilities of what he can do, but I'm fairly sure you could play this man in centre mid. You could probably play him at striker, do a position for you. Honestly, this man is an absolute beast. I really hope that he stays with us for the long term. I can see him being touted by many Premier League clubs, and I do think if we don't go up this season, there'll be a lot of teams in for him, and we'll really struggle to keep hold of him. But hopefully, he'll join us in the Premier League if we make it that far. But for me, honestly, Rob Dickey is an incredible centre-back, definitely justifying of this upgrade. If I could have given him more dribbling, I would have done. I think genuinely his dribbling is probably into the mid-60s, but I don't think EA will give him that. But honestly, this man ran half the length of the pitch and then scored from 30 yards. The man is a beast. Just give him a 90 rated card, EA, do it. Now onto our wing back on the right hand side, and I've gone with Erdobargio. Now obviously you guys know I'm a big fan of a certain player, but Erdobargio for me probably will be our starting right back or right wing back. I think he's probably the best right wing back at the club that we have, playing in that 5 system. I think you guys know I'm talking about Aussie. I think he's much more suited as a right back in a 4 or as a centre back in a back 5 personally. I just think it suits how he plays a bit better. Erdobargio, very good player, and I've given him a +1. Obviously signed him on a free contract as he left Sheffield Wednesday, and I have to say I've been quite impressed with him. He scored an absolute worldie against Man United. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. Sadly it's a bit of an old photo against him. Some of these photos, by the way, are a little bit odd. It's because there aren't many pictures of some of these players that are either decent quality and they're looking at the camera and would be good for a base card instead of like an inform, you know, where it's like a dynamic image. That's something I've struggled with, but hopefully it's okay with what we've got. There's one that's terrible. We'll get to that in a second. Erdobacho, though, a +1 for me, definitely justified. I think he's a good wing back. I think he's a very good player, and I do think he will really show that he's worth of that +1, because I think he's had a good start to the season. He didn't have a terrible season last season. It wasn't the best, but I think he's going to prove that a +1 is justified. Now onto the terrible image. Look at that. Johansson, mate. You need to get some more pictures taken of you, lad, because that is inexcusable that that's the best that I could find. But Stefan Johansson, I've given him a +1 from his 72 last season. Our captain for this season, our most recent signing. And honestly, I think a +1 again is justified. He is that sort of, I'm going to say, the Pirlo of our team. He gets the ball in that deeper role and then pings off out wide. Like obviously they say about Calvin Phillips, the Yorkshire Pirlo. Johansson is the nearest we're going to get to that. And I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Stefan. So glad that we signed him. And that signing for me really does help us make that push for the top 6, which I think we will be able to try and push for this season. And again, I think a +1 is justified. I don't think he's old enough that EA are going to mug him off and give him like minor stats or take him down or anything. They might keep him at a 72, but 73 I think is a justifiable stat for him. A bit of a, honestly, just runs that midfield. Big fan of him. Stefan, mate, you're a king. 73 rated for me for 22. Now on to one of our creative midfielders, Ilias Chair, absolute king of kings, the Moroccan man. I've given him a +2. I think a +2 is again justified. There's a lot of people, a lot of fans that say they would love to sign this man. And again, our number 10, hopefully we keep hold of him and hopefully he can keep doing what we know he can do. The rise of this man has just sort of come out of nowhere. I think Ilias Chair has been sort of on the scene for a little while and then all of a sudden just went, nah, I'm doing this now. And it just, as soon as he got his chance, he made the most of it, and I'm a big fan of Ilias. I think a +2 is justified. I think he had a very good season last season. It was always going to be difficult for us losing all of the goals that we did in Wells, Hugil, Eze, and even losing brighter side Samuel. But I think Chair hasn't done what Eze did, and I don't think anyone expected him to, but he's definitely stepped up, filled the boost as best as he can, and done a very good job of it, and I think a +2 is definitely justified. Now, technically, onto the biggest upgrade of all of this, as he's got a +70, as he's not in FIFA 21 Ultimate Team. But Willock, Chrissy Willock, is getting a 70 rated from me. I think him and Chair are very similar. If I had to guess one player to get a slightly higher rating, I think I'd give Willock a 71. That's nothing against Ilias. I just think the way that Willock plays is it's more likely to have been spotted by people at EA. And I think because he's English, again, I think EA are more likely to go, oh, Chris Willock, good little player, 71. I just don't think they look at football that much, so I think they just look at the person and go, yeah, go on, he looks all right. So Willock for me, again, relatively similar card to Ilias, and I think a 70 is fair enough. Again, for me personally, those two are absolutely fantastic. I think they are two of the best players we have, and the fact that we can play both of them in the same team is slightly terrifying, but definitely works out for us sometimes. So yeah, for me, Willock, I'm giving him a 70 rated, which, as I said, technically the biggest upgrade. It's a +70. Go on, Chrissy boy. And to finish off our formation, I'm going with a 2-striker system. So I'm starting off with Charlie Austin. Now, last year he got a 72, and I have now given him a 74. I'm well aware that EA probably won't do that. For me personally, I would give this man a 74. I think he suits the rating. I wouldn't quite say he's a gold-rated player, but he finishes like an absolute machine, which is why I've given him pretty high shooting and sort of semi-other lower stats. Obviously, not the quickest that he's ever been. He's not necessarily been a massively big sprinter pace merchant, but I would say he's not quite got that turn of pace at the moment. I would say the reason his physicality for me is just a little bit lower is I think Charlie really does a fantastic job over 60 minutes, and I think half an hour, that sort of last 30 minutes, or first, you know, if he starts or comes on, I think you see him slow down a little bit. But for me, Charlie Austin is one of the best strikers, most complete strikers in the Championship, and I do genuinely still have to pinch myself that we have this man, because honestly, Charlie, mate, you're a king of kings. Bloody love you, lad. So yeah, for me, Charlie Austin, I've gone with 74 rated. I think he will miss out on the gold rating, and I do think EA, just because he's an older player, and he'll be fuming if he ever hears anyone say that, just because he's an older player doesn't mean he has to be downgraded. It doesn't mean he's got worse. It means he's had another birthday. Sort it out. 74. And last but not least, I've gone with Lyndon Dykes. Now, I've given Lyndon a +2. Now, I think a +2 is fair. Personally, I was tempted to give him a 72, but I think a +2 is fair on his rating from last season. Also, I have given him a Scottish card, EA. It's embarrassing that I've done that before you. He's not Australian. He is Scottish. He played at Euros, EA. Sort it out. Honestly, I think Lyndon is justifying of a 72, but a 71 is what I've given him because, again, I think a +2 is fair. So I think the pace is probably just about right. I think his shooting is good. Physical lad. Honestly, him and Device, I think, honestly, would be like the ultimate tag team duo in any fight. Like MMA, get those two in there. They'll mess some people up. I wouldn't mess with them. They're absolute hard nuts. So now they've got the same haircut as well. So things you'll have to see. But for me, Lyndon has to be up there with the rating of 71. I think he's, again, I wouldn't give him the rating of Charlie just because of his shooting. I think Charlie's finishing and shooting is going to be a lot higher, which will justify that higher rating. But I think Lyndon's rating will still be decent. It'll be in the 70s. And again, I think it's justified. Now, I know I said starting 11. I have included Aussie Kakkai because I can't miss out on Aussie Kakkai. I physically couldn't leave him out of the video. So Aussie Kakkai, I'm going with the +6. I think 66 is fair. I think he deserves a silver rated card. Near the latter stages of last season, he was one of the better players for us. And in the season before that, I think he was also fantastic. At the latter stages, he came into the team and really did make a difference. I do think Aussie is justifying of a silver card. If he gets anything less than silver, EA, I will be genuinely pissed off. I think, again, he's proven his worth. Again, I've got him as a right back, not a right wing back, because I think a right back is his better position. I think he works better in a 4 rather than a 5 or as a centre back. But for me, Aussie Kakkai, the Sierra Leonean man, the absolute king of kings, Osman, it's got to be a 66 for me. Has to be. He's a beast. But with that, I'm going to end this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it and found this fun. Again, as I said, if there is a team you would like me to do, comment down below. If somebody's already commented, like that post, because again, that shows me more and more people want to see that team. So make sure you drop a like on the video as well. It supports me, the video, and the channel out a whole bunch. If you're new to the channel, then please do hit that sub button and turn notifications on to be told anytime that we upload a video. If you want to catch us on our live streams, Hursty Games YT over on Twitch, and a link to that will be in the description. And while you're in that description, check out our channel sponsors, M21 and Real Footy Prints. Code Hursty will get you a discount at both. But for now, guys, I want to say a massive thank you for watching. I've been Tom. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you soon. Look after yourselves, and of course, wash those hands. In a bit, guys.
Hursty. Slap bald head, yeah, it'll probably hurt me. Bang top bins, it'll probably hurt you. Ginger, streamer, platform, YouTube. Drop a name in the chat, we'll say hello. Entertain, yeah, you already know. Capital H, yeah, I'm a read it slow. Hursty Games, yeah, you already know.